now you just have to go to the Zoom and then we will see. You can close that. Yeah.
Zoom.
With the X, good.
Full screen.
And how are we doing with the internet broadcast?
Yes, everything is ready, and stream is kind of on, but there's nothing to be shown right now. But it's on and everything is fine.
All right, so we are now waiting for the Sensi and Elena to join.
Yes.
All right. Maybe push the SMS or WhatsApp that we are now. She has the link. And in the meanwhile, I think that we can get started. And while we are waiting for Elena and Sensio, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes. Can you hear me, guys?
We can hear you very well. So thank you a lot for joining us here with the Open Page Friday. And I will just briefly open the event. So welcome everyone here online. There's the camera online as well as physically here. My name is Professor Pekka Abrahamsson. I'm here running the Software Startup Lab here at University of Jyväskylä in the IT faculty. For a few years we have been running Open Pitch Fridays, and today we have it again, first Friday of every month. We are here together with startuppers around the world and locally and externally. Very nice to have, and we will actually dive into the first company immediately. Now physically located in Barcelona in Spain, a company that goes by name of Sensio, and the presenter, the startupper, will be Elena. So Elena, do you have a presentation? We are having a black screen here, so how are we showing the presentation?
Hang on a second. I'm trying to.
Yes, there's a green button on the bottom of the screen.
Yes, perfect.
Now we see you.
Okay, so you can see me now, guys, and now I'm going to be sharing the screen.
Yes.
Instead, one moment.
Good, and it will be Elena. Let's give a big round of applause for welcoming Elena.
Thank you very much.
And just that you know, Elena, it's minus 15 degrees here in Finland, and that's Celsius.
Congratulations, guys. Finally, the winter has come to Finland. I know it wasn't like that before. Okay, can you see the screen now?
Yes, you can maybe put it, we see it good. Now you can put it like presentation mode or somehow.
Yes, okay. 1 second. Okay.
All right. Good.
All right. Perfect. So, Pekka kindly said, my name is Elena. I work for Sunset Group, and we're excited to work together with University of Jyväskylä on the project called FlexID. What we are building is a platform to simplify publishing, licensing, and copyright of digital assets, namely photos and video, for everyone who shares content online. Or in other terms, we work to give the users control over the creative content that they share and create. And today, practically everyone is a content creator. More than 1 trillion photos were taken last year, 300 hours of videos uploaded online every minute, and millions of blog posts created on a daily basis. And those numbers keep growing, so the market for creative content. But there are few problems with the market. It's unfair. For example, if you have a look at stock photography, then the creators and photographers get about 20% of the profit in the best case scenario. And the platform itself, the stock photography platform, they get about 80% of the profit. The market is monopolized with about just a few companies having about 90% of control of the content distribution and data management. And the market, therefore, is always underperforming. The quality of content is not that good. It's sometimes really hard to find quality photos, videos, or audios online, and the marketers, journalists, and other people whose work based on creative content spend about 4 hours per week trying to find just the right piece. That's partly because of the lack of data, and particularly metadata. Last year we did a research and we looked at about 1.5 million photos online, and we were quite surprised to find out that less than 70% of those images had any kind of metadata whatsoever, and less than 1% of the images published on top media websites, stock photography, or professional portfolios had any information about copyright or authorship of the image. But what if the things were different? What if, when sharing content online, you as a creator could decide who has the right to use your images, under which terms, and for which purposes? And when looking for the content online, what if you could get just the right thing that you're looking for and get the license to use it in a couple of clicks? We believe it would make life of millions of people much easier. That's why we built the Sensio platform. The platform has 3 components. So the first application, Sensio Photo, it's aimed for photographers and artists, and the easy and simple visual content management was built in copyright protection. On the other side of the equation, for the marketers and journalists and people who use the content, it's a P2P marketplace where they can find the right images that they're looking for or videos and get the license to use it in a couple of clicks. But to make it all possible, the most important part is Sensio ID. The Sensio ID is a hybrid digital identity which contains user information connected to multiple users' distributed identities. It also contains information about the copyrights and equipment ownership that the specific user holds. And to make it all safe and fairly guaranteed and decentralized, the information is stored on IPFS and on blockchain. And talking about the usage of blockchain, I think Taya will join me.
Hello.
And explain how exactly the things work in there.
Yeah. So we are working in University of Jyväskylä in collaboration with Sensio Group now, and we are seeing how to make this all happen, what Elena explained, how to really make it happen with blockchain technology. So blockchain technology, as you may have heard of it, it's a way of having a verified log of all the transactions. So for example, for changing the copyright owner, doing any kind of transaction from peer to peer, and we can have immutable log of this transaction in blockchain. So we have the technology, we know that blockchain works, and we know how the technology is supposed to be immutable, how it is safe, and it enhances trust. But the business side of adopting and implementing blockchain is yet complicated, especially the governance side of blockchain. So how to govern multiple players, multiple participants in this new kind of business network. And our project Cool is doing research on how to govern, for example, decision rights, control mechanism, what to do when the network faces a conflict situation, how to do updates, who can decide on innovations in blockchain network, who has access to information, and how do you verify the transactions. So that's why we are looking to combine the best parts of off-chain governance between the participants, have the flexibility and fairness that we can have in human to human deciding about management and governance, and how to combine that with transparency and efficiency of on-chain governance. So that's basically the code part in blockchain, the automating processes that you can do with smart contracts, for example. So we are building human-centric governance approach. We are doing research on this. How should we model these governance, different ways of making governance, and Flex ID is our project name for Sensio and University of Jyväskylä working on this use case that Elena explained earlier. If you can show the next slide, Elena. Yes. So Project Cool is, as you can see, the long name. It's cooperative governance approaches so multiple players, multiple participants in one network, and how to enable this new distributed way of doing businesses. How to take care of business governance, legal governance, and technology governance. It's very, very wide range. And this is something that we need to do right now. We have the technology, we have proof of concepts, but we need to get it done to really adopt the blockchain technology. And Elena will tell you a little bit more what's going on in the world with this.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kaya. Pretty much the one last thing, why the right timing is now. Because the problem with creative content was there for quite a time, but now it's even more a painful spot, because in just 1.5 years from now, somewhat about May next year, the EU Copyright Directive will take place, which is quite contradictory, but specifically it tells about online platforms and aggregators, and the fact that they will be obligated to take down all the content which doesn't have copyright. So basically, the platforms and the website will not be allowed to use the content. The users will not be allowed to upload the content to which they don't have the rights, provided the content created by the other third parties, which makes the thing that we build even more relevant. So that's pretty much it from my side. And if there are any questions, I will be more than happy to answer together with Taya.
All right. Thank you, Elena, for the very nice presentation. Now, you are not working alone in your companies. Who else is working with you? Maybe you can say a few words about the team.
Right, sure. We're quite a small team of 2 co-founders, myself and Daniel, who is a software developer with about 15 years of experience. And he's also a long-time photographer. So he came up with this idea actually about 3 years ago. And initially he was trying to solve his own problem, streamlining the workflow and make sure that his photos that he shares online are safe and have all the relevant data and easily searchable. And then we started discussing it more and found out a couple more problems which other photographers are facing. And that's how we came up pretty much with idea of Sensio, on which we are working for more than 1 year now.
All right, we can take questions from the audience. So please, let's use the opportunity to ask digital identity. Vesa, please.
Well, to me this sounded very interesting a case, because the problem is more than obvious. So that how to protect the creator privacy and user rights and copyrights, etc. And the problem is there. And on the other hand, you mentioned that there's the EU regulation that is coming pretty soon, and that gives you a business opportunity for sure. And finally, you are I understood that you are utilizing blockchain technology in this case, and so that the basic thing seems to be in place. And am I right that you are aiming at the project funded by EU?
Yes.
Where are you actually right now?
So what is the status of the company Sensio right now? And he understood that we are jointly applying for EU funding somehow. So maybe you say a few words about the status and the project that we are collaborating.
Yes, correct. We are going together for European funding, since it's kind of a really relevant topic for the EU as a whole. And stage where we are at the moment, we have the prototype. We have the first MVP, which showcases the project itself. But if we're talking about the blockchain part and actually security and decentralization, which is our ultimate goal, for now, it's not at place yet. And that's actually the reason why we are collaborating with the University of Jyväskylä, and that's why we need the research to figure out how to put it all together.
And what was the name of the instrument where the money was applied? Do you remember, Taija?
That's
Yes, the where the application was sent actually.
well, the ledger. That's one of the initiative of NGI, Next Generation Internet, and the specific project to which we are going to is Ledger. So they support the pretty much all the projects that are aimed to give the ownership of the data back to the users using either blockchain, P2P technology, or other instruments.
And they are having, they are thriving for this kind of human-centric network in general, so that we put humans in center of technology advancement, and that's what EU is thriving for now, and that's why they have this very strong interest in AI and in blockchain technology and how we make them more human-centric in general.
Yeah, another thing which specifically Ledger is going for and what we are going for, that privacy enhanced solutions, they are there, but they are actively researched. There are lots of projects building something, but the problem is that they are not really used by the wider audience, by the general public. So in our case, we're trying to address the very pain point of the users, the specific one, and offer them the solution which is even easier than the current tools that they're using. That's how we're trying to get the mass audience on board and get them into using the privacy enhanced solutions.
So Vesa said something about the market is there, so clearly that that an EU regulation is coming to be there as well. So all of these are positive green lights. How are the, let's say, the creators now handling it? How are they handling their copyright protections, and how do they make sure that they are not breached? What do they do now, since they are not using blockchain or Flex ID?
Well, there are a few options, starting from the all good old watermarking, which doesn't really work, because you can still modify the images if you really need it badly. There are also the case, like the most common thing is you just accept that your images can be used while they're shared online, but there are few services that specialize on tracking down those unauthorized usages, and then you can come to the website and say, okay, that you didn't have the right to use this specific photo or video, please take it down. And the platform will have to take it down, but when it's used for advertising or something like that, it's practically too late, because content doesn't live long, it already did a job. So now it's taken down, but pretty much the company took profit and the creatives got nothing for that. So that's how the things are at the moment.
Yes, so actually it's quite messy. It's quite messy, the situation right now, and creators are getting hurt. Now I was wondering that evidently some ID will be adopted. There would be some way to protect the copyright. It sounds like Essensio could be the solution with Flex ID. How do you, and we, because we are working there, we know the technology will rock, so it'll be super cool technology. But how do you plan to ensure that it will be Essensio solution that will make it, and not some other startuppers or big players solution?
Well, that's a good question. So far, we haven't seen that any other projects are doing the same thing as we're doing, even though the problem is there. But most of their kind of blockchain-oriented innovative startup, they are stopping at the point when they create just the timestamp of a specific photo video that they were created, and they're creating the proof of existence, which has nothing to do with the proof of ownership. So, of course, you can also, upload the specific file, photo, video, and claim that you own it, but when in fact you just prove that a certain thing existed at a time, but it can be content created by someone else. What we are building is going to be open source, so basically other people will be free and welcome to contribute and build on the top of it. We are not really going for the competition. We are going for the case of changing and disrupting the market and making it more fair. Again, by working together with the European Union and looking for collaboration with the universities, we're trying to build bigger expertise in order to be actually build the things that we are talking about. Because so far, it's for a reason that it's not there yet, because it's not that really that easy to implement. That's the main kind of bottleneck and problem.
Well, I think that we are now. There's one question that we take.
Yes, excellent. Jarno Mikkonen, Berggren. It was about photos and or pictures and videos, but what about then additive manufacture, or let's say 3D technology? Because there you don't actually, you have the CAD picture or instructions on how to print an object. But in principle, anything that's in the internet that you code something, you also get the copyrights for that one. So in principle, you don't have to restrict yourself to the photographic information or visual information, but you can actually have any blueprints or coding instructions included in your data bank.
So, did you hear it?
Yes, that's true. Technically, the solution is not strictly for photos and videos. It's just the first case that we are going for, because we know that specifically the photographers and videographers, the kind of the pain points and the problems that they have. So we know this market best. That's why we want to start with it. But the technology that we are building, the core of it can be implemented pretty much to anything.
All right, Elena, super job. Thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause. Elena from Barcelona.
Thank you, Pekka. Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Tarja, also for a very nice presentation. All right, and now we will actually change the presentation, so maybe Tarja can help with the setting up the computer. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you.
Have a
Ciao,
great day.
ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
So Elena living in Barcelona, not from Barcelona or Spain, working with the co-founder, not from Spain either, presenting in Jyväskylä, Finland. And I like this kind of European mentality. Sorry, Brexit guys. We already kicked them out from the projects.
Okay.
So it's already happening right now. We cannot involve the UK folks in the scientific project because we don't know what will happen after 1 year. All right, so we have one more presentation today, so it will be put in the computer.
Tässä. Varmaan pitää suomeksi, kun tämä on kuitenkin suomalaisilla teemalla. Haluataanko täällä kaikki englanniksi, kun mun on esitys kuitenkin suomeksi.
Tuossa voit puhua englanniksi vai haluatko sä puhua suomeksi?
Voimme puhua toki.
Tässä
Että onko se kohdeyleisö minkä kielistä?
No se, kato, ollaan täällä international environmentissa. Meillä täällä on paljon ulkomaalaisia, niin ehkä ne voi kuulla. Sanot vaikka kalvon ton suomeksi ja you will say.
Yep.
All right, so the next presentation I will just briefly say that can I put this going around?
Yeah, you can put this going around.
All right. And this fine gentleman has arrived to present, and the material will be in Finnish, but we, in a multi-international environment, we will speak English, and we have some material that we will putting around in the audience. So, as you can introduce yourself in detail, so please.
So my project is to make model rules for the European cooperative societies, and for those who don't know, that there are two cooperative company forms in Finland. Those are national, and then there's one which is based on EU regulation, which is adopted in 2003. in national legislation about it was done in 2006. So what are European cooperative societies? European cooperative societies are communities, communities and finances operations that require 30,000 euros to operate, and they can change from one member state to another, which is the biggest difference from national co-op. Say if I wanted to move my own co-op to Sweden, it would be much more complicated. And for big cooperatives, this is a business opportunity that's not being used in Finland. And as I said about it, this is about that the biggest single difference is to move from one place to another without moving the company identity. It can be founded in many ways. For instance, it can be done in that one co-op in Sweden, which is Ekonomisk Förening in there, and from Finland mergers. But my main focus is member-based founding of them, which is, say, 3 members from Finland, 2 from Sweden. They sign the documents, and I have them over there, the model rules which I've done about it. One of the example of European cooperatives is Read Group SEE, which is an international national archive cooperation between a variety of archival institutions in Europe. It was founded to, when historians do, for instance, when historians do checking text, it's often written in a variety of ways, and it's different, takes time to learn how one has written and so on. So it's a text recognition program where it's a neural network where you train it over time, and it starts to recognize it. So platform co-ops are one solution to sharing data between different type of organizations and companies. For instance, I was in Alustaosuuskunta Open in 2018, where there was data sharing about methods about production line, and different companies that utilize that open steel platform, if I remember correctly. I don't remember 100% at the moment. So what does the model rule project do? The main thing is that legally speaking, there's a regulation about the European cooperative societies, and then there's beneath it the national co-op laws. And because of that, it creates complexity for the entrepreneurs to create it, because you would have to be attorney to get it done. So to correct it. So we are doing with Osuustoimintakeskus Pervelvo, which is a COOP center, model rules, so Finnish people can found them here and actually try it without huge legal problems. Here's a picture about different type of platform economy, what there is and what can be done about it. And in that lecture it was about, for instance, banking is opening and things like that, where also the co-ops can be used. There's a general principles about co-ops. The thing with co-ops, it's unknown known. People know, like we have S group and OP, but people have generally speaking, pretty poor conception of co-ops. They know it, but they don't understand it. So it's one of the things that which is a shame, because co-ops can be funded by 1 people in Finland since 2013, and it works for some type of companies. For instance, work cooperatives, there's plenty of Finland. For those who's unfamiliar with it, you own a share from a co-op, you have work over there and things like that. You have work contract there, you send bill to the customer, and then they say it back. And then they pay it back to the employee. So those are the sources which I have used. So that's it from the presentation. Possible. Any questions?
Maybe you can put the picture back. It was very nice.
Yeah.
If nothing else as a background.
Yeah.
But I will join up on the stand with you, and I will start first by asking, how did you come yourself, let's say, connected with the European co-ops? Are you running a co-op, European co-op yourself?
Well, like 3 years ago, I started wondering. I was like, oh, this company farm is around. I was like, perhaps it could be started. And I started wondering if you could found one, and I started making research about it. I had a project to found a co-op named. It was about seller co-op, which is an international one, where if you sell a product, you usually have to maintain a website, which takes some time. So in that concept, the idea is that those who sell from the platform also own it, and it's a German co-op. So I thought about branching the franchise into Finland, but that was an initial thing. But after that, I was like, running a company while I'm studying takes a lot of time, so I decided to shift into model rules that it could be applied by anyone.
I was reading the booklet that you gave about, and it said that it was printed 2006 when the law came, so
Yeah.
it's possible. And it said in the book that, in the foreword, that time will tell whether this will be only a dead law remaining as only law letter.
Yeah.
That we don't know whether these European co-ops actually are going to be established. So what is the situation? Do you have knowledge about how many or?
Well, European co-ops is around 30, and it's pretty slow, but then again, when you think about the whole history of co-ops, it's like 100 years, and this has been around since like 2006. In that perspective, it's been, it's been a short time, but there's been around 30 founded. It's been a pretty sluggish process, and it's a variety of reasons, legal reasons, and lack of knowing about it also.
Are you now selling this idea to us that we should consider it?
Well, I think it's worth trying to find it. I mean, one of the things that, for instance, Nordea has tried once European company form, that they thought about it, that they could shift. I have to clarify on this. There's two European company forms. One is European. It's a stock company form that is capital rank is 120,000, and then there's European cooperative societies, and there's two forms, and both have the same, that you can move from one member state to another. And Nordea was once considering the joint stock consideration that could move from one another. For big co-ops, it's a lucrative possibility to use.
Okay, but now I'm trying to think from university perspective. We are running a startup lab here, and startup lab is an entity that has services and functions, and but it's not run as a business. It could be run as a more like providing real services, and there could be some exchange of monetary value. And there are many startup labs around Europe. We're not the only one.
Yeah.
Could we, as let's say, jointly with members from another European member state, so no Brexit people, of course, we leave UK people behind, I have to always say that. But for the rest of the Europe, could we think about setting up together a European co-op for promoting startup related activities, as an example?
I don't see any problem of doing that.
How much, you said 30,000 euro we should dig out somewhere?
Yeah, it's a big amount of money.
Does it just sit on the bank account?
Well, you have to, of course, if it goes minus, you have to report it if it goes down. But of course, you can use it for some degree. But over time, you have to report it if it goes down to 30,000 euros. So.
Why is it such a, sounds like a high number, I don't know.
You'd have to ask European Commission and European Parliament about that.
We have to call them and ask.
It's one of the big complaints about the capital requirement. But then again, the good side is that at least if you have debt, when you have 30,000 euros, you have credibility. You know, if you have if you have limited liability company with zero money, then they always want some external backups and papers and things like that.
Before we end, let's ask a comment from the audience. So, do you have any questions, clarifications? Yes.
How harmonic is the legislation then across Europe? That if I want to have this kind of European co-op and with Malta and Sweden and Bulgaria, that would it just work out, or would you have these national differences anyway?
Well, the law harmonizes some aspects of it, but it's pretty complicated. It's the regulation sometimes says unless otherwise stated in the regulation, so it makes it a little bit difficult, and sometimes it diverges from national legislation. For instance, in Sweden, you can have there is no such thing as hallintoneuvosto in Sweden. In European co-ops, they do have, so it's kind of mixed bag. In extreme level, you could say that there's 26 different type of European co-ops, since the law is different. You have to keep in mind that in some European countries there is no such thing as co-op law to begin with. So it creates some tension.
Okay, let's end this with a very positive tone. So what is the single greatest thing about European co-op that you want to leave to our audience here live and locally here?
Well, I think the biggest is that it for big businesses it has a chance to move around. It has it may be possible in the future that its legislation change. It's also, I mean, who knows what the future will hold. I think there's some prospect about it. So
thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause. And this concludes today's Open Pitch Friday. You can stay there, that's fine, we are still on camera. And we will see you then next month, first Friday of the month of March. The date will be revealed as soon as somebody has a calendar, and that will be March 6th. Yeah. Yes, so March 6th. See you then. Bye bye. Kiitos.
yeah.